And welcome back to another episode of the $1 Million Coach podcast. And joined today by my faithful cohort, Ash. Sam is on paternity duties, having just had a new baby. Well, his wife had the new baby. So we're going to give him the week off. But today we've got a really good fill-in, I guess. And I'm super excited to have another Australian on the podcast. We are excited today to have Mr. Zach Kaddatz, better known as Daily CrossFit Tip Guy, among a million other things, on the grams, and always pumping out some good content. So welcome, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. It's funny you introduced me like that because, I mean, obviously I am who I am, but now with some like online success, like I go out to a CrossFit event or I go out to a fitness event, and people will look at me and they say, "It's the tip guy," or it's that guy, and I'm just like, whoa, this is so weird. And that's how I get introduced now, and it's quite odd. It's a different experience. Yeah,
it is, isn't it? And I know that when we interviewed on the Fit Affiliate podcast, Carl from Whiteboard Daily, people just call him the Whiteboard Daily guy. Like, don't even know his name's Carl half the time. They're just like, "Oh yeah, you do the cartoon dudes, you do the stick figures," and they're like, yeah, something like that. So yeah, it's interesting how, and Ash and I were actually just talking prior how some people are starting to recognize me from the podcast. And when I'm talking to them now, they're like, "Oh, it's Lisa from the podcast." And I'm like, yeah,
that's awesome.
It's weird. I'm pressing some buttons back here and making you all look good. But anyway,
so Zach, I have a question. So Zach, how recent was it when people started noticing you and like it's being like, "Oh, it's the CrossFit Tip Guy"?
Oh, well, the first one was I went to the Down Under CrossFit Champs in Sydney in November. And by that stage, I probably had, 30,000 followers on Instagram or something. And just walking around, everyone would turn their head almost like I was one of the athletes competing or something like that. Because I've been to the Torian Pro each year and stuff like that. And you don't experience that. But when people actually turn around and look at you, or a few people came up and said, "Oh, hey, you're the guy on Instagram." I'm like, yeah, and they just like you strike up conversation, and it's quite fun. I mean, the CrossFit community and the whole scene is fairly wholesome, and generally people, I guess, are not too afraid to come up and say g'day or say hello, and I mean, I really enjoy it. It's great.
Yeah, it's nice, and I guess that was kind of November. So what are we, like 6 months ago, roughly? How long prior to that had you started doing, the tip videos that you started creating that content?
Well, it was January or February 2022. So I had basically decided to do my level 2 course, and I started the page a couple of days before that. But it was at the CrossFit level 2 seminar where the trainers there gave me some feedback on communicating information, and I thought, okay, well, I've got this idea for Instagram, and I'm going to use it in a way to do a couple of things. I thought the idea was fantastic. Like in my own mind, I thought the idea was great, but I could utilize the feedback that they gave me at the course to improve the way that I gave information and communicated. Basically, give shorter, more concise coaching, because one of the things I do too much is talk, especially when it comes to CrossFit.
Yeah. And if you're a coach, we're all guilty of the whole verbal diarrhea and just like, I'm going to promise everything I know onto you, and you're going to be amazing at the end of this conversation. And it's funny that, isn't it? Like, you've taken that tip and run with it. I know that when I had my affiliate, one of the things that someone said, you've got to do more videos, which I hated. I'm not doing video. I hate them. So I started doing
now you're always on video.
I know. If you'd said to me like 5 years ago, this would be my life now, I'd be like, no. But I started doing lives just into my member page because I'm like, well, I can't edit it. I can't filter it. It's just going to happen. And I started doing, little clips driving in the, just recording while I was sitting in the car. If I had something to think, started doing it. And then gradually you get the confidence and you start to then find a way to I just started doing videos, and then became easy to do stuff just in one take. And, I can kind of work with that now. But probably a lot of people have been given that feedback from the level 2, but not done anything with it, and been able to create something so tangible, which is really a vehicle to help you, but also to help other people, which is where the value is in that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I had a few goals when I started it, and one of them was definitely just to help people and give people, either coaches or everyday people useful information that they can use every day in the gym. And so I knew it was sort of a good idea, but it definitely has come a long way since I started it. Like if you scroll right to the bottom of Instagram on my page, like you'll see that I do sort of stutter and mix up my words and, spend a whole minute talking about something which you could say, hey, stick your knees out in a squat. Right. So it's definitely come a long way, and it's been such a fun process and journey. And like you said, in making videos, it's like a skill like anything. I'm in the same position or a similar position to you probably were, where I'm the head coach and gym manager at an affiliate, and I actually now enjoy doing the same thing, jumping on a live in the members group and just keeping them updated with information or whatever it is. But talking on a camera is definitely a skill, because you put a camera in front of somebody and then they panic.
Yeah.
Just an everyday person, they will panic. Yeah.
Straight away. And because you started prior to, correct me if I'm wrong, the tips, you started with as many affiliates as possible, where you were visiting affiliates and, giving almost like a YouTube overview of the experience.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was something I did post COVID. I can't remember when I started that exactly, but I had this idea. It's just like, oh, well, there's 10, 15,000, whatever it is, affiliates in the world. Imagine if you could go to every single one. And you do the math on that, and you do one a day, and you'll quickly be like in a job for 10 or 15 years, just because there's so many. But I thought, cool, like if I get a free weekend, or if I'm traveling for work or leisure or family or whatever, I'm just going to jump on the affiliate map and see where the closest one is, and I'll just do a drop in. And basically I decided to get my iPhone and get a gimbal and get a tripod and say, like, reach out to the affiliate first and say, hey, look, I'm interested in learning about, well, not necessarily even just interested about learning. I'm interested in, I love CrossFit, and I want to just show off how unique every single affiliate is, because I mean, we're not a franchise model. CrossFit's not a franchise model. Every gym's individually owned and unique. So I just decided that I'd make like a YouTube video, a little vlog for about 10 or 15 minutes, just about me. Hey, I'm going to this affiliate today. I'm in Sydney or Brisbane or Bali or whatever. And this is the gym, and show what it looks like and meet the coach. And if I was lucky, I'd interview the owner and just have a bit of a chat. And that was fun. I mean, that was more like a passion project. And I still do the drop-ins, but I haven't done a vlog in a few months, but it's still something I just totally love. It's just so much fun.
Have you ever had anybody turn you down to like want to come and highlight their gym?
No, I haven't had anyone say outright no, but a few people have been like early on, when sort of no one knew who I was or anything like that. They're like, oh, what do you mean? And I was just like, oh, I just, like, it's literally no pressure. I just want to do this for a bit of fun. And
just thought it'd be fun to, kind of expose other gyms and
and then like if anyone was hesitant, and that was only once or twice, I just sent them a video of one of my favorites that I had done, and they were like, oh wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know that Zach did get invited to come to an amazing gym at Narangba, but just never made it. Awkward.
Never made it. It's a part of the world where I don't go to too often. It's only
it's you got to get off the highway. Like, no one wants to do that, really. Who's getting off the highway? So I guess to backtrack a little bit, Zach, like, how did you get into your journey into CrossFit coaching, and then working your way up? So you're at CrossFit Confront in Toowoomba, which is a couple of hours west of Brisbane. Your journey into like coaching and into that head coach kind of role with that.
Well, I'll give you the long story short. Basically, I was working in construction after I finished high school, and I did a trade and I got qualified and ended up doing that for 8 years or so. And And that job sort of, whilst I did enjoy it, the employment situation wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing. I ended up sort of getting to a point where the business was sort of going under and I stopped getting paid and all the rest of it. And I decided, oh, what am I going to do? At the time, I mean, I was talking to someone else and they said, I think this happened for a reason. And I kind of agree, because like I was in a pretty good space with my then girlfriend and now wife and my family. Like I could rely on all these people. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to just go and get another job in the same industry, because I had sort of fallen a little bit out of love with it because of the experience of that job sort of going under. And I thought, cool, I'm going to this CrossFit affiliate, the same one I'm still at. And I love it so much. And I had a friend who just did their level 1 and started coaching part-time just after they finished work each day. And I thought, cool, I'm going to go and do my level 1 and ask the affiliate owner for a job, or ask to see if I can start coaching. And it sort of all went from there. So I worked part-time for my dad's contracting business and coached a few hours a week, and sort of everything sort of snowballed. And because I was sort of in limbo with my main employment, I sort of got to a point where I said to the affiliate owner, Jason, hey, if you've got any extra classes, or if you want me to program, or if you want me to clean the gym, like if you got extra work at the gym, I'm very interested. I feel at home. I feel like this is where my passions definitely lie. And I'm sure I'm not the only like CrossFit coach to have sort of gone through this experience where they find that coaching CrossFit or being with the community is such a passion. And it sort of snowballed and snowballed, and it got to the point where the affiliate owner, he is still in defense. So he said, hey, I want to take a step back from the gym business. Do you want to roll into a head coach, gym manager sort of role? And that was only after about, I couldn't give you the exact date, but I think it was only about after 12 or 18 months of coaching. And I had another affiliate owner tell me, gee, that's a very short space of time to sort of be thrust into a big, important role. And I mean, the affiliates, we're only a small gym, but I'm guessing he could see that's where my passions were. I was clearly like putting everything I had into the job. And by mid 2019, I was sort of running the gym for the most part, and, you know, growing the gym, and everyone's having a great time and all the rest of it. So basically since mid 2019, I've been the head coach, and then we've just been through the last few years that we've sort of been through with COVID and all the rest of it. So I've been doing it for all that time.
Awesome. And, you know, it's about having that, you know, again, when we interviewed Pat Barber a week or so ago for our last episode, and, you know, one of the points he made, it was about creating your own opportunities and asking for opportunities and being prepared to say yes to anything. So you weren't going to the affiliate owner, and this is what we try and convey, I guess, to the coach audience that we talk to. It's not about being entitled and going, well, I want more money, I want more. Like, it's
right.
Do you have more work for me to do? Even down to, I'll clean the gym, you know, and it's having that, not, you know, being beneath anything, but I will do, you know, I love this place, I'm investing in it, I'll do whatever it takes. And if you've got more work for me to do, I'll happily do it, rather than, are you going to just give me more money because I've got level XYZ?
Yeah.
And, you know, even like and something we want to touch on is about, you know, your Instagram. So one of the things we talk about on here is about helping coaches package and position themselves as experts in their field and have, you know, something to offer of value. But I think one of the big things that we can see from yours is that, yes, you've grown a following, but it took consistency to do that. So what's your cadence for posting your videos on your tip page?
Well, it's called Daily CrossFit Tips. So I post one tip a day, basically.
Correct.
I did go through a stage at the start where, I mean, every few days I was posting 2, or 3. I just was a bit excited, or I had lots of ideas. Like I created a big old list of, I want to do this cue, and I want to do that tip, and I want to do this idea. And but it's sort of been one a day.
Yep.
And I sort of kept myself to that practice rather than more than anything else. I just dedicated 10 minutes. I'm going to film this thing, and then I'm going to spend another 10 minutes like editing or uploading it or whatever. And I mean, now it's unfortunate in some ways, but it's fun in others, where some videos might take me an hour to create. But I've just stayed consistent. I've dedicated that time and to that practice. Not because I'm like, cool, I'm going to get another 10 followers off this post or 100 followers off this post, but just because I had the idea, and I'm almost keeping myself accountable to that practice sort of thing as well. It's like
Well, the name of it's going to keep you accountable, isn't it? It's like
100%.
You kind of locked yourself in with that is like, well, I've called it daily tip, so I sure as hell better do a daily tip.
Yeah, and I mean, life definitely gets in the way, even though sometimes it might take 10 minutes to do a video. Some days I get to the end of the day and I'm like, holy hang, I didn't do one for starters, or I've got no ideas, or I don't have the energy to present in front of a camera, because like I want to still make them exciting and fun to watch and all that sort of thing. Otherwise, people will lose interest for starters, but I don't want to put out a subpar piece of content either. So I mean, there have been plenty of days through there where I've clipped another one, or I've just reposted an old one. And basically what I've done is just oftentimes I've used my programming as a prompt for what I should post for tomorrow, because then people are like either at our affiliate or following my program, where they're like, cool, that's applicable to what we're doing.
And I think that's an important thing that you just said there is, you have repurposed, older content or other things. Coaches can, or any sort of creator, I guess, gets overwhelmed with going, it has to be something completely new each time. Well, follower number 30,001 probably has not gone all the way back to the start of your stuff. So, and then it's okay to repurpose, things and reclip it, give it a slightly fresher aspect. And it doesn't need to take you days. You don't need a $5,000 Sony and the setup. Like, if you've got an iPhone, you've got a studio, like you can do everything, there. But the power in like working smarter, not harder, is being able to, it's okay to repurpose things that add value.
100%. And I mean, the times I repurpose them, it's sort of out of it. I save those days for when I sort of need to, if I've run out of time or anything like that. But I mean, yeah, exactly. First of all, the follower 30,001 might not have seen the one I posted, 8 months ago, but also the algorithm might stop someone from seeing the one I posted yesterday. So a lot of the time there's no, like, if I post something similar 2 days in a row, I get the same sort of reaction from it too. And that goes for coaching in the gym. Like, we go through the same sort of coaching points or progressions day after day. And I'm like, oh man, I said this 5 times today, or I said this yesterday. But you need to say it for starters. We need to run people through it. But first of all, these people probably weren't even in my class yesterday. So they need to hear it as much as anyone did anytime. So
and
sort of just,
you never know when people are going to receive it differently based on their mind space and experiences, right? You might say knees out 50 times. They're like, I don't know what the hell this guy is talking about. And then all of a sudden 51, you say this exact same thing. And they're like, oh, like this? And you're like, yes. Like it can be the same person hearing the same thing. It just takes them to get to a certain point and then they get it. That's why we try different cues, but sometimes it's not, it's not the cue. It's just ready. It's whether they're ready to receive it or not. And it can be said for your posts as well, Yeah.
And I try and make them as fun and interesting as possible as well. So I'm just enjoying doing it, to be honest.
I will say, Zach, as a long-time viewer, never commenter, but I did find particularly entertaining the one that I think you may have shared it a couple of times, about how to mount and dismount an Echo bike.
Yeah, I just did that one the other day.
Yeah, just cracks me up every time. That is, if you haven't seen it, go find it. It's particularly for a dude. There's some useful tips there. It's
I don't recommend most people do it.
No.
It's dangerous, but it's fast and effective. But it's for guys especially, it's
we've
dangerous.
seen it. I know even on the judging floor, we've seen it go wrong in calls there, hustling people, and then you're standing down the end of the lane. You're like, oh, that's going to sting later.
Yeah,
but
and someone's vomiting not because of the workout, because of
what they've just inflicted. But you do throw in a good element of relatability into your content. Like, it's very real. It's not too like staged, and you're in the gym, you're shooting the footage, and you're talking about something that is relevant. What I have been excited to watch for you, though, is that this idea that you came up with, which was purely to help you get confidence and can I give value to other people, to see what that has now created for you, with the ability to have your own programming now out there as well.
What was the question? Sorry.
Well, it's just the way that the opportunity that has arisen for you through having this consistent effort, doing these tip videos, which started as a tool for you to get confidence, but then to provide value to other people. Now it's a vehicle for you to provide other products which will generate revenue for you, such as your programming.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, with the initial growth of the page, I had people saying, "Oh, why don't you like make a T-shirt, or why don't you do this or that?" And I'm like, first of all, I don't feel like driven to do that at this stage. Or, I mean, sometimes people probably pin me for not doing things, and I feel like maybe I take a long time to make decisions, but I feel like I make the right decision eventually. But I didn't want to sort of cheapen the page, or cheapen the idea, or anything like that, or just use it to use people. Even though I know I wouldn't have done that, but I thought, I'll just keep on waiting. I've got so much on my plate anyway. But eventually, I decided to publish the programming I was doing anyway, like writing anyway, publish it, and like turn it into a bit of a better product, where I've got lesson plans and timings and warm-ups and everything written on there, and sort of a bit of a guide and all that. And I mean, now I can leverage the following that I've got to create a little bit of an extra income. So at the moment, the only thing I'm really doing is selling some online programming, and I've named that under a different business just to keep that separate. Like the Daily CrossFit Tip will always just be a free informational resource, but I mean, I just named my programming Daily Training, and that's just under my business name that I already had, like for personal training and all that sort of thing. So I've launched that, and I've got a few people on it that I know, and a few people from abroad and overseas and US and the Middle East and all sorts of places where it's so weird, because I've got this following online or whatever, but now people want to support me in a way where they obviously get something out of it too. But it's quite a fun experience now doing that sort of thing. There might be other things that I do in the future in terms of monetizing or leveraging the following that I've got, but sort of that's at this stage is not really the main focus either. So,
well, I mean, no one can begrudge that either, because we've all got bills to pay, and you've got a new little one on the way. Below the page, which is exciting, and also some very cute puppers. But you've clearly done this, and this is kind of something we try and convey to coaches as well, is if you act and put out things that are aligned with your values, you can't go wrong. So it would have been easy for you to go, I'm going to get a Daily CrossFit Tip T-shirt. And you could have sold them for $20 a pop and spent all day packing T-shirts, but that didn't necessarily align with making money for the sake of making money, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because also, like, part of my journey was, like, I want to improve as a professional too, because I'm doing this job full time. I'm a CrossFit coach, and you sometimes, I mean, a lot of people have been through this. You sometimes tell people when they ask, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I'm a CrossFit coach," and they think you're just some sort of part-time person that like runs people through workouts, and sure, that's probably what it looks like. But I mean, I view myself as a professional. I do the best job I can, and I help people enjoy exercise and get the results that they want. And I'm pursuing high credentials and all the rest of it. So, I mean, I view myself as a professional in that sense. And with the tip stuff, like I wanted to do my best to put out good stuff, especially like from the start, but especially once it became a little more well known, because then I'm accountable to more people as well.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that. That's, you know, come from a place of, you know, you just started something with the essence of making yourself better at the end of the day. And if it helps someone else, great. I think a lot of coaches and we talk about this a lot, you know, on this podcast about, you know, coaches can think that when they want to put something out there, they try and replicate and be somebody else. It's like, oh, well, that daily tip guy, he's got some good stuff. I'm going to go and be, you know, a daily tip person or something, or just, you know, try and do what you're doing, but it's not going to work because it's not authentically them and their message. And that you can have there's, you know, you could have well sat back and gone, well, there's a million people giving tips on CrossFit. Like there's, you know, some very, very good coaches, like, you know, the Pat Barbers of the world, or the, you know, Austin Malleolos and those sort of people, Nicole Christensen. It's like, well, who am I to tell people the best way to get on or off an echo bike? And you could have let that stop you in your tracks, but you were doing it for other reasons and keeping it authentically you. One of our other podcasts we talked recently was about that there's enough room for everybody to have a voice, but it has to be your voice.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have to be prepared to do the work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I would have given up every time that I thought, oh, I'm just not happy with the way that one turned out, I'm not going to publish it or post it, I would have given up like in the first week, and I would have given up, you know, 52 times once a week, every time for the last year. I would have given up. But I mean, it was so weird. Something in me was like, I'm just going to keep on going. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I saw like something in the future for it or anything like that. But also I think like once I started doing CrossFit and started coaching CrossFit, and that whole journey, like I honestly just believed in myself a lot more, whether it was putting stuff out online or just believing in my own voice or anything like that. You know, the greatest adaptation from CrossFit happens between the years, and I just honestly just believed in myself to sort of just keep on going. And I mean, yeah, I wasn't the first person to start like a coaching page on Instagram or YouTube or tips or anything. I was far from it, but yeah, I thought, cool, I've got a voice. I've got a goal to just improve as a person, and I've got a goal to sort of grow this thing. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to work with other people too. And that was sort of an important and fun piece of it, where I got to get to know the Whiteboard Daily guy, Carl, and I got to know a few other people. And it's all part of the fun journey. And that's why doing this sort of stuff in the CrossFit space is probably better than any other, because we're not stabbing each other in the back. We're holding each other up. We're like boosting each other up the whole time. And yeah, the whole thing's just been fun.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that everybody always, you know, first thing you ask any CrossFitter what their favorite thing is about CrossFit, they say the community within their gym. But like the community is so much bigger than that as a whole. And I think it's, you know, part of it is because it's not a franchise, like you said, and every gym is allowed to be unique and individual, and every coach is allowed to bring their unique individuality to their coaching. And that's kind of what makes it special. And that's why there can be, you know, 50 people giving CrossFit tips in one state, let alone, you know, or one town. But different people, they're still going to attract a different audience. And
yeah,
so
well,
it's important to stay committed to believing in yourself and continuing that mission forward, because you will be successful if you're doing what you believe in.
Yeah, and it's once you get to that point where you're like, I feel like that what I have to say is valid, and it's coming from that place again of we keep harping back to it, but what's your why? And you know, why do I want to put this content out here? Like, why? What is the point of this? Is it? Am I going to start this? I'm quite sure, Zach, you didn't start your channel with the going, well, I'm going to put these out here and I'm going to use it to leverage to make me $1 million. Like, your why was very ecological, as in, I want to be a better human. I want to help other people be better.
Yeah. And look, money was never not on my mind, because probably somewhere back in the back of my mind, I had seen other people do it. So I thought, this is possible. Like, I had seen the whiteboard dailies do it, or I had seen, I was just thinking of another example. I mean, even like someone like Craig Ritchie on YouTube, he doesn't do like information so much, but he just posts YouTube content or Instagram content. And like, I watched his stuff when he lived in a little shack, have a house or whatever. And now he's got a worldwide business and all that sort of stuff. So it's, I mean, like, all that sort of stuff's possible as well. And that was probably in the back of my mind, knowing that if you do a good job and stay consistent, all that sort of stuff is possible as well.
Yeah, and it's like you said, you've got clearly a very good work ethic, and you're like, okay, well, what's the work I need to do? So you put the work into the videos. I don't know how to edit. I know, Ash, I'm probably going to throw you under the bus here. Like, Ash is not the world's biggest social media fan or user, and part of our conversations is, I've been trying to encourage Ash to create some content. I'm like, it doesn't need to take 3 hours, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be you. And you just need to, again, have a why. If I'm going to put this video out today, why am I creating it? Like, what's it designed to do? And then, just if something means enough to you and aligns with your values and you think it's important enough for you to speak about it, like, hit that little red button and go, and then send. It's never been easier to do, but it's also never been almost harder, because we do get tripped up in that comparison of going, well, I'm not Nicole Christensen. Like, who's, going to listen to me talk about X, Y, Z? Yeah.
100%. I think people resonate with the individuality of different people as well. Like, people latch onto people online almost as if they're a personal friend. And like, if I got to meet some of the friends I've made online in person, I think we would hit it off just like I would with any of my like real life friends. So people latch on to the individuality of people too, and their character and all that sort of stuff. So I think people should just embrace it a little bit more as well.
Yeah. And how has it been received by your, I guess, in-person community? So you've got a virtual community that you've created. You've got your in-person community at the gym, where you're responsible for, all of those members there. How has your, I guess, outward-facing content been received by them, as in, is that it's good for them, or it's, I don't know, Zach's doing his video thing again. Like, how has that been as an experience, like, with members who see you day to day and they're just like, yeah, it's just Zach. Like, he's not special. He struggles getting on a, Echo bike, clearly. But, it's how has that gone for you?
Yeah, I'd love to actually listen to some people talk about this, because it would probably be pretty interesting for them, because it's always fun knowing someone. I mean, it sounds weird to say, but it's fun knowing someone famous. So, I mean, like, now that I've got opportunities with different brands, like, I get given t-shirts and I get to go to photo shoots and I get to do whatever, or I get to post stuff online. It's just so weird, because I think for the most part, it hasn't really affected positively or negatively just my in-person community too much. Other than, I mean, negatively, it might be a little bit on the downside, because I'll say, oh, sorry, I've got to go and make this video, or whatever. I've got to go and spend this time, dedicate this to that, where it's not like it's not tangibly making me money or anything like that, where I've got to go and dedicate half an hour to making this video. And that's sort of a downside. But I think everyone just enjoys it. I think everyone just enjoys the fact that I do it, or I've had some success with it, because like in the early stages, it was going out to nobody and it wasn't well known or anything like that, but I was still doing it. And people are like, oh yeah, Zach's just doing his video or whatever. But I mean, like in the start, and then even today, I still do most of it in private. I still do it when, I mean, I'm in the gym a lot, and I do it when everybody goes home and I've got a bit of quiet and I can shut the doors, and I get better lighting that way and that sort of thing. But I do it, most of it alone. So not many people really see the in-person process as well. But yeah, I don't think it's sort of affected anyone too negatively. And people just, when I talk to people about it, they sort of more so make like a lighthearted joke about, oh, he's the tip guy, or he's, you know, all the guys will say, oh, just the tip or whatever, and all that sort of stuff. And I think people just sort of enjoy it as well, as much as I do.
Yeah, it's good. And, you know, we find that, you know, in our communities in the gyms, like, members are generally supportive if, you know, their coaches or their head coaches are doing, you know, things with a bit of initiative, and, you know, it does reflect well as, you know, and giving that energy. And, you know, you're right, when you started, it was going out to no one. Mr. Zuckerberg didn't gift you, you know, 30,000 odd followers. Like, you've had to, you know, create people wanted to watch, you know, to get that. And most of your audience probably did start out with members from the gym.
100%.
In the early days. So, you know, I think there's been a lot of good lessons in this conversation that we've had, and, you know, we could talk to you for hours about it, but I know that you've got, you know, coaching, actual physical coaching things to do. But so many good lessons about having that authenticity.
I have one more question though.
Yeah.
If I can throw it in here before we shut it down.
I've got as much time as you need. Yeah, I've got.
Oh, here we go. We're on now.
Yeah, just what do you think was your biggest, you know, road bump or struggle in the journey to your 30,000 followers and being known as the CrossFit tip guy? Did you have like a major, you know, setback or place that you almost quit where like things were just getting too much, or?
I think Zach's frozen for a minute. The hamsters have stopped turning in Australia. Or the kangaroos.
Yeah.
For our internet. Uh-oh. Just when you asked a really great question, Ash.
I know. He's just keeping us hanging on.
He's keeping us hanging on. But while we wait for Zach to loop back in, that's an excellent point, is that, you know, people give up when it's hard, or think, well, I didn't, you know, oh, Zach's got 30,000 followers, I've got none. Well, like, if you're going to get frozen at that point, or something's hard or tricky, then you're going to just give up.
Oh, yeah, we lost him.
He'll be back in.
Yeah.
He'll be back in. I'll let him back in. I'm nice.
Well, and that's kind of the key, you know, that's really the crucial moment of when you have to stay on. Ah, there he is.
Are we okay?
Yep. We just said that the kangaroos stopped turning for our internet over here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, because I'm just sitting here. So I'm just sitting here. But your question was what were the roadblocks?
Yeah, like, was there any major point where you almost quit, or something that was really a struggle where you started to question things, but, like, you know, obviously pushed through because you are here now?
No, like, major roadblocks or major issues. It's only the consistency part of it. Because now, like I called it Daily CrossFit Tip, like you said, and I decided to do one video a day and just stay consistent and put one piece of content out. It's just been the point where it's like, oh, do I need to do one today? Do I need to create a piece of content, or do I need to continue this, or can I take a night off? I'm with my family or whatever. Do I really need to repost something because I've already posted it? And now that my wife's pregnant, and I'm thinking ahead to when we have the baby, like I'm actually thinking about planning a scheduled break from everything. so I can be there with her and with the family. So I think at that stage, I think I'll keep pushing through to then, and maybe take a break around then, just so I can stay present with her. But the only real roadblock is just the consistency aspect and the challenge of doing the work. And I mean, if anyone has a goal or wants to achieve something, they, any coach or mentor will say you have to stay consistent, you have to do the work, and you have to do the thing, and do it. But my sort of fear is my fear is if I take a day off, it gets easier to take another day off, and it gets easier to take a third and fourth and fifth day off and miss another day and all that sort of thing. I think at this stage, it's less of an issue. Like I could probably post once a week now for the next year, and I would be totally fine, and I could go on as normal. But the consistency has been the only real challenge, because some days it's a real challenge. It's massive. Like you just can't be bothered, but you just do the thing anyway.
Yeah,
because it's important. Clearly it's important to you why you started it. Again, we keep banging back to the why. Ash's favorite thing for the $1 Million Coach program is, what's your why? Like, why do you do it? And that's what's going. And same for our members at the gym. Like, when they start to waver and think, oh, I might just put it on hold or take a break. Well, why did you join? Like, what was so important about that? It comes down to that. It's like, well, I created this to help me be a better human and to help others. And if I stop doing it, then does that mean I've achieved what I want to achieve for, continuous improvement and growth? So Zach, if, we have lots of coaches who listen to this, and someone's out there going, yeah, I feel like I have things to say and I just don't know where to start. What would be your, tip for them today? Is how does someone get started if they want to start putting something out there?
Just do it. I mean, you hear that when that question gets asked, you hear so many people say, just start. And it's quite literally the thing, because I decided to make the page, and I decided to just start posting and putting stuff out there. And I kept a bit of a diary or a journal of the growth of the page. And it took 2 months to get 1,000 followers, and then another month to get my second 1,000, and then a week to get to 5,000. And then, it sort of grew exponentially. So it doesn't matter that it's not successful overnight. What matters is that you're doing the thing, and cutting your teeth or grinding the wheel or doing the thing where you're actually sharpening your axe or getting better. So just do it. But also, like any coach in an affiliate or at a gym, get some feedback, get someone to watch you or re-watch your own stuff, whether that's coaching on the floor or creating content. Get opinions from other people, and don't live by other people's opinions, obviously, but feedback is so important, because I mean, I got to a stage in the affiliate where I was running all the classes and doing all the coaching, but I wasn't actually getting feedback on my own processes or the way I did things, and that sort of stalled my progress as a coach. So getting feedback from the owner and getting feedback from more experienced coaches at these seminars and courses that I like to go on and all that sort of thing is so important, and just bouncing ideas off people that are doing similar things as well. But literally get started. But then if you want to get some feedback, like, the feedback is so much more powerful than you might think, because every time I go to a CrossFit course or spend some time with, I'm lucky enough to be friends with some of those trainers that are on seminars, like lucky enough, because they are amazing. You say one thing to them and they've got this idea or this response that nobody has ever said to you. Those guys and girls that are on those courses are big brains when it comes to CrossFit and coaching and training and all the rest of it. And even though some of them might not be experts in social media, they're like, oh, why don't you do this thing? And I'm like, that's amazing. So just talking about it to people as well, because you can also, like in my position, you can feel like it's this real internal thing, like it's all on me, or I've got to do the video or whatever. But you create a conversation around these fun little videos, and and it helps out so much. So yeah.
And I think that, you know, any coach in the space, if, you know, someone reaches out and asks them for feedback or advice, if they're a good human, they're going to give that. They're not going to say, well, no, this is my turf, I'm protective of it. It's like, you know, another quote that we use all the time around here is, you know, a rising tide raises all ships. So if you help each other be better and share our knowledge and share our skills, which is throws right back to the, you know, original days of, you know, early CrossFit when, you know, a new affiliate had opened. So everyone in the neighboring affiliates would go down and, do you need a hand? Can I throw some paint on the wall? Like, let's, you know, be friends, and, you know, can I help you? And I'm here if you need a resource, before where it turned to being very, you know, protecting your turf and very isolating. It's kind of moving back to that now. But if you're of, you know, come and ask for help or being involved and wanting to take care of each other, because we realize that CrossFit is truly unique and there's a lot of competitors out in the marketplace, but our offering is still unique, and that's what we love, is the affiliates are individual and unique, and the coaches are individual and unique, and they're the only ones really putting out this content. So we need to work together to make sure that everyone can find their place and feel good about what they're doing, and improves the standard for you know, anything that's being put out there. I mean,
100%.
Your stuff has got better by seeing stuff that went before you. Someone else's stuff now will be better for seeing what you've put out there, or asking you a question, or, you know, I'm quite sure if someone said to you, hey, I'm going to be at Torian this year, can we catch up for a coffee? I want to talk about some, you know, your journey. You certainly aren't going to say no.
I can't wait for that. I just cannot wait. I can't wait. Yeah. Torian's going to be so much fun because, people hopefully I get to just meet heaps of people and do all that stuff, answer people's questions or talk to them about whatever. And I mean, people helped me. So, and now, like, I've still got a long way to go as a coach, but in the last year I've grown so much. Like, I've done my level 2 and 3, and I've grown all this on Instagram. Like, I want to help other people as well now, like just help other people grow and develop as coaches as well, because we can all be better in the affiliate. We can all be better with our own communities as well. So,
yeah, awesome, mate. Well, I will be at Torian, so I will definitely try and tap you on the shoulder. And,
we'll sit down for a chat.
Yeah, have a coffee and hang out, because we've never had the pleasure of meeting in person. I think you've run into one of my cohorts, Colin Noble, a few times around the places.
He's a good friend now. I've run into him a couple of times.
Fellow Gorilla Health man. But it's it'll be good to sit down and say g'day. But look, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you, and I know that we will definitely have you back on, because, you know, what you've managed to create and carve out for yourself, particularly in Australia, it's kind of a smaller market, I guess, and, you know, the fact that you've been able to, you know, reach people everywhere, and, you know, like you said, you're providing programming now to people, you know, in the far reaches of the world, because they resonate with how you coach and how you communicate, and, you know, your impact on even your immediate local community has, through your work at Confront, has been huge. So, you know, I think you've got a lot to offer in the space, and I'm super grateful for your time this morning, and we will definitely have you back, because I know Sam, our other co-host, was particularly bummed he was going to miss this chat today. So we definitely have to have you back so you and Sam can geek out on some of that stuff as well. But appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Where can people find you if they haven't got onto the train of awesome that is Zach? Where I'll put all them in the show notes as well, but hit us up with where people can watch your stuff and follow your journey.
Well, first, thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Ashley. It's been so fun, and thanks for everything you've sort of given me this morning. But if you want to follow me just on Instagram, that's the easiest way. Just my name's in the image there, Zachary Kaddatz, or Daily CrossFit Tip. My online programming, that's daily training, and you can sign up to that if you want to get some awesome programming. I say it's awesome because I'm biased because I write it, but it works. I PR'd my clean last week, and I don't even do like weightlifting specific training. So if that's any sort of example, but even if you want to support the page and the projects, I mean, that's the easiest way to do it as well.
Yep.
just jumping through that link and signing up as well. I would just be eternally grateful for that. But just on Instagram, easiest way, because that seems to be the best way just to reach out to people and chat.
Yeah. And if people want
online
to train with you in person, is that
anyone
option?
can come train with me in person, CrossFit Confront, or we can just do some daily training in person stuff, which we do just as a small group in the mornings, just the people that are on my program as well.
Oh, cool.
Perfect. And I saw that you've recently had a client that's climbing, doing the trek to base camp or going to.
Oh,
Everest.
Yeah. Shout out to Shelley. She's been doing CrossFit for maybe a year and a half or 2 years.
Boom.
And yeah, she's decided with a group of people from around our city to climb to base camp. So they're doing.
That's no mean feat to get to base camp.
Absolutely not.
It's incredible.
My dad's been to base camp and he said it was one of the hardest things he's ever done in his entire life. And and so full credit to Shelley, and all the people that she's going with. We did so much walking and hiking and training in preparation, and we walked every week, and I'm just so proud of it. It's just amazing. Yeah, that's
very cool, and that's been cool to see you share that sort of stuff as well, and those wins along with your other stuff. So they're the real stories, and that's why we do what we do as coaches. So thanks again, Zach. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest. I know our day is just starting. Ash's day is probably winding down, but go forth, and we will chat to you soon.
Yeah.
No worries. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Ash. I'll see you soon.
Zach.